Did you know nearly 80% of motorcycle batteries that riders throw away aren't actually dead? They're just asleep? I see it all the time. Riders push starting, swapping batteries, or buying new ones every season. When the truth is, most could have lasted years longer with a few simple tricks. Today, I'll show you how to revive a dead battery, make it last almost forever, and save hundreds in replacements. Whether your bike's a daily commuter or a weekend toy, these tricks work. And at the end, I'll even show you how to bring a dead battery back from the grave. Trick 5. Stop the silent killer. The number one reason motorcycle batteries die is sulfation, the slow, invisible buildup that chokes your battery from the inside. When a battery sits unused or partially charged, tiny crystals form on the lead plates. Over time, they harden, blocking current flow. The bike might still crank, but the voltage collapses under load. One day it just clicks, and you assume it's gone. But in reality, it's not dead, it's just suffocating. Luckily, sulfation can be reversed. Smart chargers with desulfation modes send controlled high-frequency pulses through the plates, breaking down the crystals and restoring chemical activity. It's like CPR for your battery. Brands like Noco, Optimate, or Battery Tender make chargers that do this automatically. If you don't have one, there's still an old-school trick that works surprisingly well. Connect a small 12-volt bulb in series, drain it gently, and recharge it slowly using a 1-amp charger. The slow cycling helps dissolve the buildup. I once watched a friend resurrect a 3-year-old AGM battery that sat all winter reading 10 volts. He let it charge low and slow, and within 2 days, it was spinning the starter like nothing happened. He rode the rest of the season without buying a new one. The truth is, sulfation doesn't kill batteries that are used. It kills the ones that are ignored. While you're at it, always keep your terminals clean and tight. Corrosion is sulfation's partner in crime. A dab of dielectric grease seals out moisture and stops that green fuzz that robs voltage. These small habits turn a temporary fix into long-term reliability. Sulfation is what happens when a battery is neglected, but even a healthy one can die young if you charge it the wrong way. The next step isn't about fixing damage. It's about preventing it every time you plug in your charger. Trick 4. Charge it the smart way. Charging a motorcycle battery seems simple enough. Plug it in and let it fill up. But the truth is, the type of charger you use can decide whether your battery lives for years or dies before the next season. Traditional trickle chargers deliver a constant flow of current no matter how full the battery is. Leave one connected overnight, and it keeps feeding power long after it's full, overheating the plates, boiling the electrolyte, and warping the internals. You're not maintaining the battery, you're slow cooking it from the inside. A smart charger works differently. It monitors voltage and temperature, adjusting the flow automatically through 3 stages: bulk, absorption, and float. In float mode, it delivers just enough power to keep it topped up without stress. It's the difference between care and cruelty. One winter, I stored 2 bikes side by side. The first was hooked to a smart maintainer. The second used an old trickle charger I unplugged every few days, thinking I was helping. By spring, the smart maintained bike fired instantly. The other, dead flat, case hot, electrolyte boiled away. That cheap charger ended up being the expensive one. Good charging goes hand in hand with system checks. With the engine idling, measure across the battery terminals. A healthy system shows between 13.5 and 14.5 volts. Anything less means the stator or regulator isn't feeding enough power. Anything higher means overcharging and slow death by heat. Catching that early saves your battery, your regulator, and even your lights. And don't ignore vibration. A loose battery bounces, and those internal plates flex until they crack. On big singles and cruisers, that's deadly. Foam padding or a tight strap can turn a 2-year battery into one that lasts a decade. So now, your battery is charged the smart way and mounted securely. But what if it keeps dying anyway? Sometimes the problem isn't how you charge it, but what's draining it behind your back. We dug through rider data, mechanic reports, and real failure patterns, so you don't have to. Hidden drains are the top culprit. If this helps, subscribe and drop your bike in the comments. Now let's talk about what's secretly pulling voltage. Trick 3. Stop hidden voltage drains. You know the story. The bike ran perfectly last weekend, but today the starter just clicks. That's a hidden drain, something stealing power while the key's off. Modern bikes are full of quiet thieves. Alarms, USB ports, dash cams, trackers, LED strips. Each one takes a tiny sip of power, but together they can empty a battery in days. To find the culprit, grab a multimeter. Connect it between the negative post and the cable with the ignition off. You should see no more than 1 or 2 milliamps. Anything more means something's feeding when it shouldn't. I once helped a rider who replaced his battery 3 times, blaming bad luck. The real culprit, a GPS tracker wired directly to power, sipping current 24/7. And while we're at it, let's kill a myth. Revving your bike after starting doesn't charge it faster. Regulators cap voltage no matter how high you rev. All you're doing is generating heat, not power. The right way to maintain charge is to ride often or use a smart maintainer, not redline it in your driveway. Check wiring from accessories, especially if your bikes had previous owners. Old connectors or loose crimps can mimic dead batteries with parasitic drain. Many battery problems aren't electrical mysteries, they're just hidden leaks. Once your wiring's tight and your charge is stable, there's one season that still tests every battery to its limit: winter. And that's where the next trick becomes a true lifesaver. Trick 2, cold weather starts and storage secrets. Cold weather is one of the most unforgiving enemies of your motorcycle's battery. When temperatures drop, the chemistry inside slows down, internal resistance rises, and the engine oil thickens into a heavy drag on the starter motor. You press the start button, expecting that confident roar, but instead, the bike groans and hesitates like it is half asleep. It feels weak, but it is not dead. It is simply freezing. There is one simple, free trick that makes a huge difference. Before hitting the starter, turn on your headlight for about 10 seconds. It sounds strange, but that small electrical load gently warms the plates inside the battery, waking up the chemistry and allowing electrons to move more freely. When you then press the starter, the battery delivers stronger current, and the bike fires up with ease. It is one of those simple habits that cost nothing but save you countless headaches on cold mornings. When it comes to storage, most riders make one costly mistake. They let the battery sit discharged. Once the voltage drops below 12.4 volts, sulfation begins. Lead sulfate crystals start forming on the battery plates, choking electrical flow and reducing capacity. The longer it stays that way, the more those crystals harden until no charger can dissolve them. To prevent this, always keep your battery connected to a smart maintainer. A modern charger cycles gently, sending pulses that keep the chemistry alive without overcharging. If you cannot, at least disconnect the battery entirely to stop small drains from accessories or alarms. Never store a battery directly on cold concrete. The old myth about batteries grounding through the floor is not accurate, but the effect of temperature is. Concrete pulls heat from the battery and slows recovery, so place it on a wooden board, rubber mat, or even a folded towel to insulate it. If you live where winters truly freeze, a battery warmer or heated pad can double its lifespan. For every 10 degrees colder, a battery can lose nearly 20% of its cranking power. That is why some bikes start easily in summer, but struggle after a single icy night. Warm storage is happy storage, and keeping the battery topped up through winter means it will come back to life the moment spring arrives. No battery is truly maintenance-free. Absorbed glass mat designs resist sulfation better than flooded types, and lithium versions weigh less and deliver big power, but they still need care. Even the best technology cannot beat chemistry or neglect. Consistent attention keeping it clean, warm, and charged is what keeps a battery young, no matter the brand or cost. Of course, even with perfect care, some batteries will still give up. When that happens, don't reach for your wallet just yet. Reach for this final trick. Trick 1. Revive a dead battery. Every rider wants to know how to bring a dead battery back to life. And in many cases, you absolutely can. A weak or flat battery does not always mean a ruined one. If it reads more than 10.5 volts, there is still life waiting inside. I once pulled a battery from a scrap pile that barely reached 11 volts. Most people would have thrown it away. Instead, I connected it to a charger at half an amp and left it for 2 full days. Slowly, the voltage began to climb. By the second evening, it rested at 12.7 volts, strong enough to spin the engine like new. That same battery lasted another 6 months before finally giving up for good. The key is patience. Charging slowly rebuilds balance inside the cells. Fast charging at high current only overheats the internal plates, warps the separators, and kills what little life remains. A gentle, steady charge lets the chemical reaction recover safely. After charging, disconnect the battery and let it rest for an hour. If it holds steady above 12.5 volts, it is healthy again. If not, repeat the process once more. For older lead-acid batteries with removable caps, check the electrolyte level. Over time, some of the liquid evaporates during normal use, leaving the lead plates exposed. That exposure reduces performance and invites permanent damage. A few drops of distilled water in each cell can restore proper coverage and bring back lost capacity. Never use tap water. Minerals inside it corrode the battery and shorten its life dramatically. Of course, not every battery can be saved. If the casing is swollen, if you smell strong sulfur, or if you see any leaks, it is finished. A damaged or leaking battery is a safety hazard. Continuing to charge one can cause fire or explosion. Know when to stop trying and replace it instead. But when revival works, it feels like bringing something mechanical back from the dead. You press the starter expecting silence, and instead, the engine spins freely and comes alive. It is proof that patience and understanding beat waste every time. Once revived, keep it healthy. Clean the terminals, tighten the bolts, and coat them with dielectric grease to prevent corrosion. Make sure the battery is strapped down firmly so vibration does not shake it apart. Check the charging voltage regularly. A few minutes of care turns a short-term rescue into long-term reliability, and that is how you make every battery earn its full life. Now that you know which gas brands can destroy your engine and which ones actually protect it, you're ahead of the game. Drop a like and comment if your favorite made the list, or if it's time to switch. Let's help each other ride cleaner and longer. But there's one more fuel mistake riders make that silently wrecks engines over time: using the wrong octane. Subscribe so you don't miss the breakdown, and I'll see you in the next one.